Good day, and thank you for watching a video on my portfolio series. Today I will be analyzing the vehicle sales data, starting off with a bit of data cleaning using a Python notebook, Jupyter notebook. Moving on there, we will move on to Excel to further the cleaning, use a bit of PowerQuery, and we will end the analysis with visualization using Power BI. Please excuse the humming noise in the background. It is the fans of my laptop plus the interaction of me using the onboard microphone of the laptop. This notebook will be in my GitHub repository, which I will link down in the description of this video. Moving along, so first things first, we imported the requisite libraries, and then I imported the dataset as well as showed the head just to get a grasp of how the dataset looked. Then I moved on to remove the vehicle identification number column because it would provide no further insight as it was already a hashed encrypted value. And then I split my columns into both continuous and categorical columns with a special condition such as the year. Although this is a continuous value, I deemed that it being analyzed as a categorical value would yield more insight into it. I then moved on to check for duplicates on the dataset. Thereafter, I did a frequency table on each of the columns that I had classified as they being categorical. Let's just go over a few of them. Alright, let's go over them, right, just to get a look. So such as here, we had explained that year had 34 unique values and most of the cars were 2012 model cars. Moving along, we had the make of the cars. Ford had the highest sales, followed by Chevrolet and Nissan. What we can see from there, we see that model of the car had 973 unique values, which is too many to show here. Similarly with trim, body had 87 and most of our cars were sedans. If you notice here that there's capital sedan and small sedan, I later on fixed in the dataset that this small sedan is added to this one. And moving along, we see that in the transmissions there are 4 unique transmission values, and these should just be automatic and manual and not 2 sedans. And so I elected to remove these 26 errored values because the dataset is about 400,000 entries. It wouldn't have to lose 26 of them. And then I moved further along. These are the states in which the cars were sold. Florida had the highest sales, and you see these error values here, and I elected that these error like values, we just added them to the number for Florida, and there's code for that down below. As well as color here, color, you see an invalid value here. This is not a color, this is just an M dash, and so this number of colors I added them as black, as that's what that most likely to be. As well as this error here, you see numbers instead of colors. As for this error, similarly I took all of those numbers and I replaced them with black in order to solve that error. Similarly with interior, as above, this dash here was added to the blacks instead of it just being an error value like that. And so these are the lines of code that fix the above errors I had just been noting here. Thereafter, this is a line of code that reruns the frequency tables just to ensure that just to check and ensure that truly the fixes that I had written for had applied here. And then the last thing I did was check for missing values, and this shows us that there were about 86,000 missing values, which is like 56% of the data set. We see that transmission had about 11% of the values from transmission were missing values, and at that point it would be hard to try and anticipate whether the transmission are manual or automatic, so I just elected to remove all rows that had missing values with this line here. Then after that, I saved this CSV after this small cleaning to car prices cleaned.csv. Thereafter, when we open that CSV, right, let's open that CSV. Alright, so we've opened the CSV, and the first thing you notice is that this column is a column of the index numbers, and I'm just going to immediately just take away that column. Alright, let me just delete that. And then as for the column of headers here, I want to make them proper where the first letter is proper, so to do that I'll just insert and just use the proper formula here, proper dash A2, I believe it should be A2, enter. Perfect, that's what I want. And then let's just drag this formula, and perfect. And then from there I'll just alright, let's just escape that, and then I just copy this top row, Control C, then I add it here, Control V, and then there's a slight error, and I just want to copy the values, and that is that. Do this, delete, and it is perfect. Right, then Control A to select the whole data range, and then Control T to turn this into a table, and we are running. Alright, thereafter I think I'll do further edits using PowerQuery. Let us use PowerQuery. Okay, the data has been loaded into PowerQuery now. I'm looking at the top row just to make sure that the columns have the correct data type. Alright. Okay, cell date, I would like it to be a date and time. Alright, yes, replace current. We get an error. Let's just walk that back. So I believe that this is because of the GMT suffixes. So I'm going to remove those GMT values. Control C, and then we replace values, right? We replace values to remove that, and we replace it with nothing just to remove it. And I see an anomaly here, and similarly we just replace it out. Replace values, we replace that with nothing, point it out. And just lastly, to make sure there's no other GMT value, we check, we search it, CGMT. There's nothing for GMT, so I think it should be fine now. Let's try again, and perfecto, we fixed that. Selling price is a currency value, and MMR is also a currency value. This is the original price of the car and how much it was sold at the dealership. So how much is the, yeah. Moving further along, I would like to create 4 columns now. First would be the depreciation, which is the difference between the selling price and the MMR. So let's just add column for that. Okay, we'll just call it depreciation. Depreciation, yeah, there we go. And it is equals to the MMR, the initial price of the car minus the current selling price of the car. Why do I say that? Because right here we see a condition column. This condition column indicates to us that these cars are second-hand cars. So we expect that the initial price and the current selling price, there to be some sort of difference, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. But for the most part, it looks like there's a nice markup going on here. But we will see. Okay, moving on from depreciation, we now will work with creating a decade column. This one will rely on the year, and in the years, rather than having 25 years from 1990 to 2015, instead we're going to have 3 bins, which is the 1990s, the 2000s, and the 2010s. So if let's just insert that twice. Okay, cool. If year is greater than or equal to 1990 and it is strictly less than or equal to, or and year is less than or equal to 999, then it is in the 1990s. Speeding that along. Alright, speeding that along, we are at this point now. Yeah, 1990s, and if it's in this range, 2000, this range, 2010s. So right, what other token? Oh, that was the error token. There we go. Beautiful, nice and lovely. And we have another column for decades, and then I'd like another column that bins the conditions of the cars, right? Alright, condition of the car, condition level. right? And then for it, so this is the condition column level I'm doing. If the condition of the car is between 1 and 26, then we deem it bad. Between 26 and 38, we deem it medium, otherwise we deem it good. I decided the range of these numbers by looking at histograms of the condition column. I skipped over that look over just to make this video as short as possible. Alright, let's just click OK, and we see cars are condition level. I'm going to do an ABC test using these levels, good, bad and medium, in the next video, not in this current video. And the last column I'm going to create will be similar to what I just did with the condition column, but instead it will be for the, what is the other column, the odometer, and we'll call it mileage, whether the mileage is low, medium or high mileage car. Alright, similarly these are the ranges I chose for the odometer. If the odometer of the car is between 1 and 35,000, it is low mileage car. Otherwise between 35,000 and 70,000, it's medium. Otherwise it is a very high mileage car. And that is the last table I'm going to create. And having created this table, I'm then going to close and apply. Oh, it's close and load for here. Okay, close and load. Alright, having created this new data set, I am going to save it and then we will open it up in PowerBI. So we're here in PowerBI, and now I am importing that Excel file I just created. Right, importing that file, and we will use new, and we'll import new, and we will transform the data just to give it a look-see over in PowerQuery before I close and apply. Alright, year, make, model, it all looks good. The data types look good and there are no missing values. Alright, sales date looks like a date. Alright, just 2-3 edits. Just want to make sure that these are recognized as currency. Fixed decimal number, similarly here. Yes, replace current please. Similarly here, and probably lastly here. Right, and then close and apply. It takes its time to load. I'll pause and unpause when it is loaded. Okay, so we are in Power BI now, and it's time to finish off by creating the visual. Immediately, my go-to is background color is gray. Alright, so our background color now is gray, and let's begin by adding the visuals into it. I'll start off with a line chart, I believe, with a line chart. Let's put this here, and what I'm interested in seeing is how much revenue has gone throughout time. So we'll look at the sales date as well as the selling price. That's sales date and selling price. I'm interested in the year and the month, and that should be sufficient. Yeah, and so that's pretty much the visualization of the sum of the selling price divided by the years, the months of the year, moving from January 2014 to July 2015. We see a peak at January of 2015. I wonder what economic boom was going on there. And then from there, I place myself in the shoes of a person who wants to enter the dealer industry. I would want to know which car brand has been selling the most, right? So in order to look at y-axis will be the car brand or the make, and then the x-axis will be the selling price, right? Yes, that will be it. Right there we see now that Ford has been raking in the money with the most amount of sales. Ford has been the most profitable, and we can demarcate this by the decade just to see which of the cars have been making the most money. And we see immediately that the 2010s are the ones which were making Ford the most money, and similarly for all car brands, the latest of cars are the ones that are generating the most revenue. And then the question arises, is it because there were just too many cars sold in the 2010s? So we'd want to look at the average of prices to see if indeed it was the 2010 cars that were fetching high prices. So I'll pull in a pie chart. Come on now, there we go. Small error. Do that, and then let's add a pie chart. And with that pie chart, we are going to have pretty much going to be we're going to the average, not the sum, but the average of selling price, and we're going to demarcate it by the decades. We want to see the decades. So we see that the 2010s had an average price of 17,000 pula cars, whereas the 2000s had an average of 6,000 pula. This is actually in dollars now that I think about it. It's not in pulas, just that Excel localization set this to pulas. But we see that the 2010s, even on an average price basis, they were selling the high revenue cars. Okay. And then from here on, I myself, as somebody who wants to invest into maybe a car dealership, we then ask ourselves, okay, which car type was selling the most? Like, which body type was selling the most? I think the pie chart would still help us see, since it's a display of proportions. So we will show body, right? We will show body, and will be here sum of selling price, right? And we can see immediately that the sedans were the ones which sold the most at 30% of sales, followed by SUV cars, which were that much amount of sales. Okay, cool. And just resize this, I guess, and resize this a bit as well. And let me see if I can squeeze this guy right in here. Alright, come on, and I'll put it right in there. Okay, alright, oof. There we go. And now, what else? Now we are interested in depreciation, right? So if I'm going to hold inventory of cars, right, I would want to know which type of cars are most likely to depreciate. I think a bar chart would help visualize that nicely. Alright, the y-axis will be selling price, the y-axis will be depreciation. I want to look at depreciation. The y-axis will be depreciation. I could split it along the years of the car. Let's just see. And this immediately shows us that, okay, alright, so this shows us immediately that the newer cars tend to have a positive value. Positive values of depreciation actually indicate here the indicative of revenue and markup. I was looking forward to seeing negatives of values, but it still seems that even despite they being second-hand cars, people are still managing to sell them well above the wholesale price, which is the MMR, which is kind of reassuring if you're somebody who wanted to enter into this industry. And I think I will, what will I add next? I think I should add a card. I should add a card, right? A card that shows revenue. A revenue card that, okay, cool. A bit skinny, but I will fix it. This is the thing with visualization. It is a work of both knowing what to analyze as well as just making relevant visual representations and just yeah, knowing what to show and how to show it is what I want to say. Alright, what do I want to show here? I want to show the sum of selling price, and there we go. 6.47 billion, and I would want it to be, yes, I would want it to be renamed something like, I think the proper title of it would be industry revenue, because that is the industry revenue. I think that is a proper title. And that alignment would be perfect. I think that's enough for now. And let's look at this. General, I think curved edges would be the best way to go about this. I'll pause here and then show you the result after a few touch-ups. Yeah, and this is me after doing a few touch-ups on the charts I just talked about to you earlier. I think I want to round the corners of this one as well. Just easy peasy lemon squeezy. Just round this out, and that's the style. That's how we do it right here. Alright, so let's look at that. Ooh la la. That came with a bit of a challenge, but we love challenges here. We grow because of them. Alright. And maybe just push it a bit higher. Alright. So, but this is pretty much the culmination of the video. The main goal was just to demonstrate my capacity to do a bit of basic data cleaning and then end up with a visualization on Power BI that could be used by multiple stakeholders. Like one of the things I really like about this is that you can do drill downs. If you're interested in falls of the 2010s, like, you do that, and then it boils down to tell you, okay, this was actually only 1.09 billion, which is fairly a lot, and still most of them were sedans and SUVs, and that is the case. Drill downs are still shown, although you see here that there was minimal markups being made, but these are still a significant amount when you consider the whole total. But otherwise, I feel like the video has dragged on long enough. If you've made it this far, I thank you very much for making it this far. I would sincerely and humbly ask for any commentary in which you can tell me how to improve myself and how I could readjust to try and put myself in a better position to venture into this data science industry. But otherwise, I wish you all the best and thank you very much for your patience.